Welcome back to another episode of Pig's Ear in Review here at the Tojo Dojo, where we talk about the things that we've been reading, things we've been watching, things we've been playing. I'm Myshtuff, joined by Riku Rose. What's going on for today?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. You?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Just another hot day here in the Midwest.
It's a hot day in Florida, which means it could be anywhere from December to November.
Exactly. It's getting a little rough lately. But yeah, today we got a rare occasion where both of us have actually watched all three things that we're going to talk about today. It doesn't happen. The stars aligned perfectly, so we can both figure out what we like and don't like exactly. So we're going to be talking about Barry, Morbius, another hot topic as of late, and then a movie that I'm going to guess not too many people have seen, The Lost City, which came out, I don't know, I think earlier this year. So yeah, let's just get right into it then. So Barry just wrapped up season 3. It's on HBO Max. So as a quick summary, it stars, and I think directed and written, or at least co-directed, co-written by Bill Hader, and best known, from Saturday Night Live and a bunch of comedic roles. But in this show, he is a assassin. I shouldn't say assassin. He's a hitman.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the better way of putting it. Sorry, not an assassin. He's a hitman who he got out of the army and he needed basically to have a job. And so that's what he was good at. He was just a trained killer. But then he realizes he doesn't want to do it anymore. And so he decides naturally to go be an actor, because why not? Because that's a passion of his. And basically it's about, the premise of the show is just him balancing that world between being this hitman and a up and coming ish actor and trying to take lessons from a character that's played by Henry Winkler, which I love watching him too. He's great. The Fonz. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like, I guess what's interesting about this show is I kind of actually want to get your thoughts on this almost in a general sense. So it was, I think, to some extent billed as a comedy. However, there is drama in it as well, and they do a good mix of this. But I will say, now that we're at season 3, especially without spoiling it, the end of season 3, it very much leans more into the drama than the comedy, which I'm cool with.
Yeah.
At least that's how it's felt like to me. I don't know how have you seen that transition a little bit?
I think, the humor's always been a dark humor. And it's never been like fart jokes, anything like that. It's always been like very, very dark. You're laughing at how absurd or crazy a situation is. It's very like rare that something's just outwardly just hysterical because of how stupid it is. And then normally it's the stuff with like the Chechen mob getting excited about doing like a tour in LA and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. To mention that, I mean, there's definitely a good cast of supporting characters there. And so, but one of the standout ones that's probably my favorite is a guy named Hank, and he's NoHo Hank, and he's part of that like Chechen mob basically. But like he's just like a goofball. Like, he tries to be serious, and he very much can be at times. But then a good portion of his character is just being the biggest like goofball. But he's trying to run this like this mafia organization basically.
But he's
just a
trying
fun.
to be nice, and he's more worried about all the other mobsters liking him as a leader.
Yeah, exactly. And then like him and Barry basically like form a fun relationship with each other, and so it's just, yeah, I love seeing him. And then the other kind of main character is Barry's.
Before
Oh,
you go,
yes.
right? I'm just giving this idea for free. Although if it makes $100 million, I want my share. They need to remake Romeo and Juliet with NoHo Hank and Cristobal. They just make it HBO Max original, hour and a half. Like, that's it. Bring the cast of Barry in, remake the story. Just have it be a little side bit and then just come back as if nothing had happened.
So, okay, so not just the actors, you literally mean like in universe of Barry.
Yeah.
As like a little retelling.
Yeah, it'd be like a little side story.
Yeah.
But not continuity wise. Just their personalities, their characters, have it be its own story, and then come back. Like, you know how Popeye never really like carries over the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would love to see that. Honestly, I would see more of those. I mean, this show in general, I think it's already been renewed for another season, which is great. But yeah, if they did more like spin-off type of stuff in general, I think, or stuff like that, I mean, I would be up to seeing
Yeah.
it. I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, the other kind of main character that's in it is Barry's like mentor slash like manager, essentially,
Yeah, the guy
who's
from
like,
Dodgeball.
yeah, so that actor is funny enough. He's worked. It's really funny seeing him because I've known him from some other movies as well. Like, yeah, he was in Dodgeball, but he's also worked with Mike Judge a few
Hmm.
times. So, like, he was in Office Space as Milton,
Yes.
like the
Yeah. Oh,
stapler
yeah. I forgot that was
guy.
him entirely. Yeah, yeah,
And then, if you've ever watched King of the Hill, one of my favorite animes of all time, American anime,
yeah.
does the voice of Bill. So
Oh, I
that's
never
him
knew
as
that.
well.
I never
Yeah,
knew
yeah,
that.
and he's done voices for like other side characters and stuff too. But yeah, he was in that as
To
well.
be
So like,
fair, that's a good sign of a voice actor because I
hmm
go see a lot of like animated movies in the theater, and all I do is sit there the entire time going, "Oh, that voice is familiar. Who is that?"
hmm
So it is kind of nice when you can watch Sank without going, "Which famous actor is this?"
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and I think he's done some voice acting maybe for some other things as well. But yeah, I love that guy. Yeah, he's in the show as well. And yeah, I mean, just in general, the cast is great. So yeah, like I said, it's kind of this half comedy, half drama. But I think depending on the season arc and the episode, it can very much swing either way. Which I guess, okay, another quick side tangent. I've actually been noticing this. I think in recent years with at least more shows than I would expect taking this approach. Because like I would say, Better Call Saul, which we'll eventually talk about when that wraps up, was sort of the same way where it kind of was billed as this comedy but with drama. But then I think very much has the pendulum has almost swing quite a bit to the more drama side on Better Call Saul as well, which once again I'm fine with. But I think that's another show that's kind of done that. Funny enough, the Orville, which I'm watching right now, is kind of the same way, where it was very much like a Star Trek spoof almost. Kind
Hmm.
of started out, and then switched to being more of a not serious like a drama per se, but it kind of like a more almost traditional Star Trek show. So it's just interesting to see shows that are doing this kind of mix where they can sort of go both ways. I mean, are you liking this style of show?
Yeah, well, I've been rewatching The Sopranos.
Hmm
I actually started rewatching it end of last year when that new movie came out.
Yeah.
And we me and the wife, she's never seen it, so we've sort of
hmm
fluttered in. We've not watched an episode for like 2 or 3 months, but like then we'll go
Yeah.
back and watch a season or whatever.
hmm
And you're like, that show's hilarious. It's one of the funniest shows,
hmm
and it's a drama, right?
Yeah.
And like Breaking Bad, my favorite show ever.
Yeah.
Hilarious moments where the guy's coming through the ceiling in the bathtub, all that's
Yeah.
right. And when I complain about Halo, I was like, no one smiles, no one cracks a joke, and part of you
hmm
goes, well, not everything has to be funny. Like it's a drama, and I'm
hmm
like, but what good drama hasn't always been also been funny
Yeah, well,
or
it
had
takes the
funny elements?
humanity out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes the humanity out of it, and it's like, yeah, not like even in horrible things happening, you can usually find some ounce of humor somewhere to like keep going, and like that makes it more real than anything. It's not this nice and even split between the
Hmm.
genres anymore.
Well, my
So,
wife watches This Is Us,
hmm
and I don't know if you've ever seen clips of this show, but I
yeah,
watch it. I go, people don't talk like this. Everyone's conversation is like really serious. I've got to talk about my emotions and I get my point across,
right.
and I'm like, no, like, shut the fuck up.
Well, okay. So that it's okay. I'm gonna do it again. I'm sorry. I'm gonna mention Star Trek for like 20 seconds here.
One sec,
You
let
don't
me
have
down
to.
this.
Yeah, yeah. Just please start drinking. So the recent show, which I'll also eventually talk about, Strange New Worlds. A lot of people, including myself, are really loving it compared to some of the other shows because of that very reason, where you have the cast and crew that are literally cracking jokes with each other, like in the middle of like battles and people shooting shit, and they're making like funny jokes to like almost calm people down in like a tense situation. I'm like, oh, like that's good writing. It's good character interactions. Whereas like some of the other more recent shows, yeah, to your point, it's just like all serious all the time. World is ending. Like we can't crack a smile ever. And it like, yeah, it takes the humanity out of it. So yeah, like I'm glad there are more shows that are feeling comfortable mixing the genres a little bit in that sense. So it's
Well,
nice. And so yeah,
it real life, everyone isn't serious. I
right.
found out my grandfather had terminal cancer, and I called him up on FaceTime because he's in England, I'm in
Mm.
America, and I go, "How you doing?" He goes, "Other than dying, I'm all right."
Like, what do you even say
Yeah,
to
like,
that?
but that's how people talk.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, humor eases people, and yeah,
yeah,
100%. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So I think if you're into that sort of thing, human interaction, I guess, uh, then I think you'll very much like Barry. So yeah, like I said, just finished its third season. I think each season's like what, 8 or 10 episodes, something like
I
that.
think this one was eight.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
is 8, and they're usually 30-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more. So it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like a terribly long watch or anything like
And also,
that.
you're going to know within 2 to 3 episodes whether it's for you because it does. Like I know you said it's
Hmm.
falling more into the drama side, but I don't think
Hmm.
like no one's going to be like, "Oh, this is Jump the Shark" or "This is a drastically different show" or anything like
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It
that.
has been gradual,
Yeah,
and they've done it well. And now it's to the point where they could honestly swing back and forth either which way as long as it's reasonable. And I don't mind if like the first few episodes are more or less comedy, and then it becomes drama now because they've kind of established that like these characters can do that now, and that's fine. And as long as it's believable, basically.
Now, being an Englishman who lives in America as well, I have found that this show probably best sums up how I feel as an outsider looking in at America.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know. I know it's tough for you. I know you've lived in different parts of the country, but you're
Hmm.
American. You've always lived in
Yeah,
America
yeah.
for the most part. I know you've lived in Japan and stuff, but
Right, right, right.
if I go back to England, I don't see it from that outsider's perspective, even though I've lived in America, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And I think a lot of people think, oh, this is like a show about LA, right? Like,
Sure.
actors who are very vain, the
Hmm.
violence that people kind of just ignore and accept as a daily part of
Yeah.
life. And like, places get shot up and people just like run out screaming, and then the police are just like, well, doop doop doop. Um, and life goes
Classic.
on. Murderers are just walking around us.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like how I don't think a lot of Americans realize that Grand Theft Auto is a game made by a Scottish team making fun of America.
That's a good point. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
and I what is it? His girlfriend is always just like oblivious to the fact that he's obviously this cold killer because
Right.
she's just
Right.
so self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And I've even experienced that in Florida, which is considered the complete opposite of California, of
Sure.
people who are like, "Oh yeah, if you need anything, blah blah blah. Oh, can you come and let the dog out? Oh no, I can't. Sorry." You know,
Yeah, it's interesting very much when you get that outsider's perspective as well, and like yeah, well, and I don't know, like the character himself, it's funny with Barry, he's like trying to enter this actor's world, but he's very much not used to that because he's coming from this military
well, he just
background.
fails upwards as well. Like yet again,
Yeah.
America. Like I hate to break it to you, but you've
Hmm.
just got to know the right people, stumble into the right meetings, and
Yeah.
you can live a comfortable life. Or you can work
Yeah.
your ass off in Taco Bell and have an asshole manager, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, I mean, once again, that kind of plays into this role as well, where I mean, if you're expecting like a feel good type of show, this is definitely not it. So you're gonna see some struggling here, which I mean, I think is relatively evident from even if you just watch a trailer or two or something like that. But it's yeah, like I said, it's just a very, as crazy as it sounds to say, because it's about a freaking hitman. It's a very real show
Mm-hmm.
about people, and I think that more than anything, as we've said before, even like our taste in games where we want good story and not just boom boom action whatever and that's it, like that this show very much I think delivers on that. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, once again, without spoiling it, season 3 left on a pretty darn big cliffhanger, so I'm curious what they're going to do with that. And then, sorry, I guess as another thing to mention in general, Bill Hader, I think he's doing a great job. I mean, not just in terms of creating the show and writing
Yeah.
and directing, but just even as an actor, because
Yeah.
I think similar to like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and those types of shows, you're seeing comedic actors now go into these more drama roles, and they're fucking incredible at it. Like they're doing a great
Well,
job.
I'm not even just excited about his acting because like there's episodes where they're like shot beautifully or shot really well, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, what? And every single time there's an episode that like shocks me at how well it was directed. At the end, it says
Hmm.
directed by Bill Hader,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow. And then you just know DC are going to be like, oh, do you want to do like Superman? Like he's not going to go do something exciting, is he? Like it's I would
Well, I
hope
was gonna.
I would hope he does. But it's every director it feels like these days they're just like, you want to reboot fucking Top Gun 3? Like
Well, okay, but here's the thing though, because I could say the same thing about Taika Waititi, because he started out doing a lot
yeah.
of comedy type stuff, and as I mentioned the other week, Our Flag Means Death, and then just even Jojo Rabbit, so like he's done stuff like that. So, and then obviously, the Thor movies and stuff like that, which have been, I mean, the new one's
Mm.
about to come out, but like they've been, successful. So, to be honest, I would be interested in seeing Bill take on one of those bigger franchises, but I would love for him to do like a fucking Howard the Duck reboot or something stupid like that.
Yeah, but that would
I think
work. That would work. Like
right. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah, that would work. Give him something like that. Um, yeah, I just know though it's going to be something ridiculous where they're going to be like, oh, we want you to remake Groundhog Day.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, once again, depending on what it is, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it because I think I've even before Barry, like even though I'm not the biggest SNL fan by any means,
Mm.
I would watch it when I was younger and the clips here and there. But like for that era that Bill Hader was on, I just loved watching him because he just
Yeah.
cracks me up and like
He
he
wrote
does
on
goofy
South Park as
impressions.
well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. He does great impressions. Watching just clips of him doing all sorts of impressions are fucking hilarious. Actually, right before we started this recording, since I finished Barry, what I like to do with a lot of shows is look at gag reels of shows. I don't know if you ever do that, but there's a couple for season 1 and 2 of Barry, and I was just like crying laughing. They're so funny. So I'd recommend doing
Yeah.
that as well. So, but yeah,
Thumbs
I guess
up.
with that, yeah, definite. If it's not obvious, thumbs up for sure from both of us. But yeah, so all 3 seasons are in HBO. Like I said, I think they renewed it already for a fourth
I
season.
think it's going
It,
to
it
be the
was a.
final season as well.
Is it okay? I mean, I wouldn't be
Apparently,
surprised.
before COVID, they were planning to film season 3 and 4 back to back.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, not just with Barry, but I think a lot of shows that have been somewhat delayed over the past couple years. I think it was probably supposed to come out a little while ago, so it was a few years. I had to like refresh myself on what
Mm-hmm.
happened for the first 2 seasons, but hopefully season 4 won't take too long to come out. But yeah, definitely looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you've watched Barry, though, let us know in comments below if what you think might happen. Try not to spoil it too much for people who haven't watched.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'd be curious to know also if there's other shows people have watched besides the ones we just mentioned that kind of split between like that comedy and drama. If there's other ones, because I think I'm starting to realize I like that type of blend more than I thought I would. Like
Mm-hmm.
like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, now Orville to an extent, now this. So I'm sure or you said Sopranos, obviously. So I know there's more, but like I'm just curious what other ones
Mm-hmm.
people think of in this type of genre or blending of genres, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So now another exciting movie, Morbius.
Oh,
So since you're the one wearing the Marvel shirt, you're
oh yeah.
clearly the aficionado. Do you
Oh.
want to tell us about this wonderful movie?
So this movie is the Joker decided that he didn't want to be the Joker anymore because
Got
he
it.
wasn't very good at that. So he went, I'm going to go ruin something else.
It's just going to go from
Um,
franchise to
and they
franchise. Good.
went, don't you just love the Marvel vampire? And everyone goes, yeah, I love Blade. And they go, the other one.
Wait a
And
minute.
everyone went, what other one? And they went, did you ever watch the Spider-Man animated series? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, like the sixth most popular villain. He's going to
Tell
be
me.
the basis of our Sony Marvel super Spider-Man baddie universe.
Okay. Okay, really quick, because I feel like you probably may have kept up with this more than I have in a sense. I'm still not clear with the Sony
Yep,
side of the Marvel movies. Are they or are they not part of the
they
MCU?
are not. And spoilers for like the Spider-Man movie everyone saw.
Hmm.
The after credits confirm they're different universes, but they can travel between them.
Oh, well, right. Okay, no,
Yeah, yeah.
I got that part, but I mean, I know they're obviously collaborating and there's and all that sort of stuff. But okay, to your point, it is technically this other universe because like there was Venom as well that sort of like crossed over a little bit, but like I don't know, I guess maybe they haven't definitively said this on purpose whether or not they're going to continue to keep crossing over, if it's truly from now on just going to be its own thing. But yeah,
I think the issue is I don't think Sony know. I think
probably.
Sony wants to have its cake and eat it too. They
Yeah.
want a slice of that MCU pie,
Hmm.
but they want all the money for themselves.
Clearly, yeah.
Right, so they do this thing where they keep like trying to tease people, making people think it might be or could be, or in the future you might want to watch it just in case. But because then Kevin Feige's like, I ain't getting involved in this shit.
Yeah,
Like,
get out of here. What is this? Well, it's
eh,
interesting. Well, because I guess I mean, there's not a whole lot to spoil in this movie, honestly. Like,
he's a
so
bad vampire, but he's not that bad. He tries to be good, and then he beats the bad vampire.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And actually, really quick to your point about the animated series, I did grow up watching that, and that's actually pretty much my only introduction to the character. Like even when I was reading this kind of like single issue Marvel comics back in the day, I never like read Morbius or anything like that, but I remember him from that cartoon, and I like vaguely remember like, okay, yeah, he was a cool character. I don't know if I would put an entire series or a movie about him,
A
but like it was cool to
franchise
like
is
see him.
relying on this. They made Venom. It was a huge hit, and they're like, right, we've now got to build a universe, right?
Yeah.
Morbius.
Yeah. Well, because there's two Venom movies now. Have they said they're going to make a third one, or has that not been
Literally the
confirmed
other
or
day,
anything?
like Tom Hardy tweeted like a photo of him writing the script or something.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I guess that something's going to happen, and I
I,
wouldn't. Well, okay. So there's that, and then yeah, now Morbius. But then, okay. Well, this one actually, funny enough, really isn't that much of a spoiler because they put it in the fucking trailer. Michael Keaton as well,
which was
Vulture.
weird.
Yes.
That
Why
was,
did they put that in the
I
trailer?
think, so. In the trailer, there's parts that aren't in the final movie.
Okay.
So my theory is that this movie got cut to pieces.
Probably.
Now, I have nothing to back this up other than intuition. But as we all
Sure.
know, what happened with No Way Home was a lot of Spider-Man came back.
Yeah.
Now, I think that what happened was Sony, after the whole Spider-Man was leaving the MCU for a while, I'm sure you remember that.
Hmm.
Sony were like, right, we're going to have Tom Holland. He's ours.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland probably was like, no, I'm like an up and coming actor. I want to be
Hmm.
in like roles that project me. The Sony universe doesn't look like it's going in a good direction, right?
Right.
And they're like, right, fuck, we can't get him. And then in the trailer, there is a graffiti which I've since seen was removed in the final movie, where Jared Leto's walking down the street, and in the background is Toby Maguire's Spider-Man graffitied
You're
on the wall.
right.
Right
You're right. Yes, I
now,
did not see that in the
that's
movie.
not in the final
Hmm.
because then I reckon they went right. We can't get Tom Holland. What if we could get Toby back and
Hmm.
make a separate? We could carry on.
Right.
We can have our Spider-Man movies, and the MCU can have their Spider-Man movies, right? And Toby Maguire went, "No, I'm not interested."
See ya. Well,
Right?
at least on the Sony side, I mean, yeah, the other most recent Spider-Man movie. I mean, all right, I think it's pretty much, yeah, everyone knows that all three
I was
Spider-Man,
in
like you
Best
said,
Buy the
came
other
back.
day, and they were on the fucking TV, so
Yeah, so
everyone
okay,
knows.
yeah,
Everyone
yeah. I
knows.
mean, pretty much at this point. So sorry, spoilers somehow if you
Yeah,
didn't fucking know by this point. But yeah, so they brought him back for that, which was I think they did a cool job with him and Andrew and like did that thing. But okay, and as I've said many times, either here or wherever, I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. I own it on Blu-ray, the collector's edition. Don't judge me too hard here. But I don't know if I could see another full movie per se with him in it. Like, I mean, what
I
they
think
could do
times
to
have
some
changed.
extent,
That's the issue, and that's
that,
not saying those
yeah,
movies are bad now, or that, but
sure,
they
sure.
were a product of their time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the only way I could see it being successful if they went that route is if they did something similar to like the Spider-Man, what was it? The Jesus, the animated one, Spider-Verse, where
Oh
he's like
yeah,
an
yeah.
old Spider-Man, and he's kind of like kind of
Training up
down on his
Miles
luck.
Morales or something.
Right. Like if they took it that direction, I think it could work. But if it was just another like I'm saving the day, swinging around, delivering pizzas again, like I don't think that's quite going to
I want
work
to
again.
see Logan, but with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Just an old man, like geriatric at
Yeah.
this point.
No, but I
Um,
seriously think that's what happened. Is they released the trailers, they were trying to tease all the different possibilities. They were probably banking that by the time No Way Home comes out, they could get one of the three of them back,
Probably.
and then just correct, and then go in that direction.
Well, so I mean, at this point, because at the end of No Way Home, the other two Spider-Man go back to their universes. So theoretically, they could still, even if it's not like a main
Yeah.
Spider-Man movie, they could one of those other universes could be where the other two Spider-Man or go back to. So they could somehow still do it, maybe as a cameo or like a small part. But like if they just made another full-fledged like Spider-Man movie, yeah, I don't think that would work
But
either.
that's my
So
theory on what they were trying to do.
yeah, oh,
I think
probably.
they didn't have anyone signed, but they probably thought, oh, by the time this movie comes out, this is going to be like the Andrew Garfield like
Hmm.
Spider-Man universe or whatever, and he didn't sign up, and now they're left with a movie they have to try and cut together
Yeah,
and make it
exactly.
cohesive on its own without any of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, given all of that, as far as what was left of this movie, um, once again, I think from what I saw from the Spider-Man cartoon, like Morbius was a cool enough character, and they probably could have, if it wasn't for everything we just said, they probably could have made a more cohesive movie because I think it could be an interesting character. But like, I don't know, I felt like not a whole lot happened.
No, it felt like a movie that came out around the time like Daredevil and like Blade 3 came out.
Hmm.
Like the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like sort of like 2003, 2004, when after Spider Man and X Men had come out, and they were just trying to get all the movies out, like Fantastic
Right.
Four. It felt like a movie that had been made then.
Hmm.
Very basic, A to B, good guy, bad guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing with and this one. This is tough to be honest with a lot of these Marvel or any superhero movies. Is like for a while it was exciting that we were seeing all of these characters come on screen for the first time, but now that it's not, it's kind of the norm again. If they just try to shove in an origin story, it's almost like you have to have an origin story just to introduce a character, even
You don't
if
know because like X Men, the first X Men, they're a team already.
that's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good
I
point.
mean, Wolverine joins them, but like they're already a
Sure,
team,
sure.
and like they're like, uh, you didn't get a Cyclops origin story. They're just like, there's the guy who shoots lasers out his eyes. Good
That's a
enough
good
for
point.
me. Slap him on the back. Off we go.
Yeah,
Like,
just believe it. We don't have to explain
yeah,
this. Yeah, and that's totally fair. But I guess maybe what I'm saying is it almost seems like the studios maybe feel like they have to do that, or else
yeah.
maybe people won't get it. But it's like a lot of okay, a lot of the more popular characters, you don't really need to per se do that anymore. But like someone like Morbius, who's maybe less familiar, maybe they feel that need, like they kind of have to do it.
I
But
will say though, he does have the best origin story ever. Right. So this is spoilers for the
mm,
first 5 minutes of the movie.
hmm,
He's got this disease. I don't think they ever really say what it is. It's just
just some blood
their
disease,
bodies don't work good, right?
right?
It's not even like cerebral palsy because it's more just like their muscles are withering away or
Yeah, yeah.
something.
Hmm.
And he's in bed, and a kid comes in, and he's like, "I'm going to call you a nickname. named after the last kid who died here for some reason. And the other kid goes, okay. And then he goes, oh no, I don't feel good because this machine's not working properly, and like dies. Then Morbius gets up and puts the little spring that you get in the pens in the machine, and the machine starts working again, and he saves the life of the kid. Right? And then the guy from Mad Men goes, you must be a genius to know to do this. He goes, right? He goes, because you're not just some kid who's got nothing to do for 24 hours a day and has just watched how the other doctors and nurses operate the machine. You must be a
Exactly.
genius, right? So I'm going to send you to a special school because you stuck a spring in a machine. Right? It's not like it's a component that gives the machine power, right? And then he goes, but what about my friend? And he does not say that kid that you literally gave a nickname to 30 seconds ago. You don't know him.
Yeah, at all.
Right? You
Yeah.
literally just had that one interaction. That was it. And then he goes off to a school to
And
become
then that's it.
to become the best doctor ever.
Yeah, and he gets a PhD at 19, and you're good to go. Yeah, that one was okay. Two things about that: the nickname he gives him, so that character appears later in the movie as like the main antagonist or protagonist. I don't know at this point anymore, honestly, but he still uses that nickname,
Yeah.
and it's like, does he just not use his actual name anymore?
Well, the thing as well is, all I kept thinking the entire time is Jared Leto as Morbius won't make a good doctor. Because if anyone was like, shit, we got someone who's just come in with a gunshot wound, hurry, all the nurses would run ahead and he'd be like, I'll get there in a minute. If I don't want a doctor who's going to take half an hour to get to my room in an emergency.
Yeah, probably ER is not the best place for him to work. I would guess. Also, especially when he transforms, he's going to be wanting blood everywhere. So that's probably not good either.
The best thing is he goes, right, I think I've cured this disease. Okay, he goes, but we got to go offshore. Right? We got to do it in international waters, right?
International waters, yes.
We got to do this experiment, right? Because one, it's a cool set piece, which it wasn't, and two, I can't have the authorities knowing I'm doing these crazy experiments.
Yeah.
And the nurse he's with goes, okay, I'm up for
sure.
just illegal experimentation on people. Let's go. And they go off onto this boat, and that's how he becomes Morbius, right? And for the rest of the movie, the police are trying to arrest him for a crime that he committed in a place that he did it, so he could not be arrested for it.
Right. So
what was the point of doing international waters if the police are going to arrest you anyway?
Yeah, why'd you waste the time and money? Just do it like in your lab at that point.
Yeah.
What does it even
That's
matter?
probably cheaper as well. Obviously as well, you don't have to hire a private security firm with 20 people that at any point could run to the authorities and go, they're experimenting on fucking people on this boat. You can just go in a basement with one other person who trusts you, save a lot of money. You've not got to haul all that expensive equipment out to sea.
Yeah, how did no one see them taking this shit to like a boat? First of all, how did they even get a boat like that? I mean, I don't think they're rich. Like Morbius isn't like a millionaire.
In America and he's a doctor.
Oh, so he just has infinite money, clearly, in a top secret lab.
Claim on the insurance. They just raise the rates on the common man. Who gives a fuck?
It's just a tax write-off. Come on, don't worry about it. I bought a multi-million or probably billion-dollar boat. Don't worry about it.
I need 50 million vials of bat blood. Put it on the insurance.
Yeah, don't ask what it's for.
Cover
that. Yeah, we need the insurance code for that one. What's that again? Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then I will say I don't really understand why. So the visual effects, the main thing with this movie, when they're like bouncing around, is like it's like this weird fluid or smoke that kind of goes behind them, and I mean, I guess it looked neat, but like I don't understand why they did that, like
Because
what it was
that's
supposed to
how bats
represent.
travel, don't they? They disappear and appear again 10 feet away. I'm pretty sure that's how bats travel.
I must have missed that day in science class
Yeah,
then, clearly, because
Batman
I don't
does
know
the
if I
same
remember.
thing, I think.
Of course,
Yeah,
how could I forget? So that was interesting. And then oddly, okay, there was also a scene that I think may have been in the trailer where Matt Smith's character, so Milo, like the other guy, he's just like awkwardly dancing to himself
yeah.
in the one part of the movie. And I'm like, I know he's just trying to be like, ooh, I'm healthy now and I can do all this cool shit. But it was so awkward to watch. It was just so weird.
I reckon that Matt Smith was just dancing and they filmed it and put it in the
Just
movie.
why not?
Yeah.
Good looking dude, people like him, I guess.
Also,
So that was weird.
one of the worst romances in a movie recently I've seen.
Between who?
Jared Leto and the lady who was not.
Oh, well, I guess that's my point. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't even remember
The
or think
lady
it
who was
was.
not Jessica Alba.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen her in anything
No,
else, to be honest.
I just kept thinking that she looks like Jessica Alba did in the early 2000s.
Maybe this is a Fantastic Four crossover then.
Yeah, we can't get the free Spider-Man back. Let's reboot that universe.
Again.
Yeah, let's get Michael Chiklis back as the Finn. That's gonna save this universe.
See, I would watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I don't even know what to think of this movie. So I mean, I know they brought it back to theaters and it made like 80 grand in America, and it was laughed at again, basically. There was memes and stuff, but like I just don't know. Like, I don't even know if I want to give it a thumbs down. I'm more just a thumbs like I'm just confused about this movie.
Here's
Like,
the
I don't
thing:
know what to.
it's not a good movie. Is it one that's in like so bad, like Cats, for example? That was awful,
Hmm.
right? But like,
Yeah.
this isn't like a 1 out of 5. This is like a 2 out of 5 that's boring.
Mm, yeah.
It's
Exactly.
not even that funny to like. Like even the memes of that people have been making recently aren't
Hmm.
from parts of the movie. It's about the fact the movie exists.
Exactly.
There's nothing
Hmm.
really much. I know I've made fun of this movie, but like, there's not much in the movie to actually make fun of. That's just stuff I laughed at to myself in the theater because I was thinking about it in my head. The
Yeah.
loudest laugh came from me making own jokes in my head about the movie rather than the jokes in the movie. Right?
But isn't that still good though? Isn't that worth it?
No, because like there's like stuff happens and then my wife's looking at me as I'm just cracking up to myself. Yeah.
You all right?
But
uh,
the it's as I say, it's that sort of early 2000s. Like no one's going back to watch the Ben Affleck Daredevil. No one's going
mhm.
back to watch the Michael Chiklis Fantastic Four movie. It's one
Yeah.
of those movies that is just very it's bad, but kind of boring at the same time. It's not
Hmm.
even bad enough that you can make fun of it in a fun way. No one's going to be
Yeah.
watching this like The Room in 20 years, you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm like, so I guess once again, as far as this specific movie, I mean, I mean, I rented it for like $5. So if you're just dying to see it, I rent it for a couple bucks. I mean, just to like say you watched it, I guess, but wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Thumbs sideway ish to down, I suppose, but like not the greatest movie as you're saying.
I
But
give it a thumbs down.
all right, that's fair. But once again, I am just curious on the Sony side of things. Like, what the hell are they going to be doing next? I mean, I know you just said, like, yeah, maybe another Venom. But, like, at the end of this movie, once again, with Michael Keaton, they basically were like, he finds Morbius and is just like, hey, I think we should team up. And it's like, oh, okay,
Well,
cool.
he doesn't say that. He goes, "Something bad happened. I reckon it was Spider Man."
Yeah.
Why?
Mm, because movies need to
Also,
exist.
at the end of the Spider Man he's in, I thought he liked Spider Man.
Yeah.
Because he was
And
in
that's.
prison. The guy was like, he is, rat him out. And he's like, no, looking after that kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, clearly, unless this is another Michael Keaton, are there two Michael Keatons? What's going on?
One of them's Batman.
So- Yeah, clearly. Well, maybe at this rate, we'll see if that movie comes out, given recent things going on. But yeah. So after that exciting Morbius discussion, we're going to go on to the last thing, which is the Lost City. So this came out. I think it came out in theaters maybe towards the end of last year or earlier this year. I can't remember. But
Yeah, I
then
think
it
it's
went
early
to
this year.
streaming. Okay, yeah, so a little bit earlier this year, but then it became available on Paramount Plus. I think I don't know a few months ago or something like that. So this movie is about Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock, and Daniel Radcliffe in it, amongst a few others as well who guest appear. But basically, it's about this woman who is a romance novelist, and she actually does some like archaeological stuff like that she's interested in,
It's some
and but
Indiana
then
Jones shit, isn't it? Like, oh, I'm a teacher, but
yeah,
also an archaeologist.
right, exactly. Just because, why not? Um, and she's on a press tour for her new book, and she's accompanied by the model who's on the front of all of her books, who's essentially like a Fabio kind of character, like long flowing hair, like muscular, but kind of an idiot as well looking dude.
Now, I'm not big into the erotica market. Um,
You don't say.
no, no, I normally that's the aisle I walk a little quicker past in the supermarket. Um,
I see. I see.
yeah, I don't want to
Sure.
fill
Sure.
things in there. Um, so I firstly, do erotica novelists do tours?
um, I mean, I guess so. I mean, you have like the 50 Shades of Grey stuff that happened where
Yeah,
she went on
I feel
tour, I guess.
like
I mean, granted, it's probably not common
yeah.
per se, but yeah, I think it does happen.
Secondly, would you bring the cover model? I imagine he
I
does
mean,
more modelling than just the books. I doubt that's enough to pay for his rent.
probably, but I mean, keep in mind, I mean, I don't think, or they may have kind of half joked about this in the movie, I can't remember, but I mean, he's essentially like a fictional version of Fabio, who
Hmm.
was like that model cover person, and I mean, he ended up essentially becoming famous on his own. So I guess it's kind of trying to say that they people love him still, and like all the women who are reading it like really just want to meet him or whatever. But yeah, probably other than that very rare scenario, it's probably not too common you have that
So,
happen.
other than the scenario in which the writers for this movie wrote,
Clearly, yes.
yeah.
Come on, it's simple. You got to make the movie happen. Um, but basically, what happens is after the latest book comes out, this super rich dude comes in, played by Daniel Radcliffe, and says like, "Hey, some of the stuff you do is like actually real. Can you help us find this treasure on an island?"
And I go, why the
Um,
fuck's Daniel Radcliffe reading erotica novels? Not just
look,
erotica
don't
novels, but erotica novels with the sole purpose of finding ancient treasure.
look. He's the millionaire here. Have you tried doing it? Are you rich?
Maybe that's where I'm going wrong.
So yeah, come on. Clearly, we're doing something wrong in life. We need to read. What I'm getting from this is we need to read more erotica novels. I'm pretty sure.
Next
Um,
week on
so
Pig Zero Review.
yeah, we're gonna be doing just like five that we've read over the last week alone. This channel is about to take an interesting turn. So, um, yeah, he comes in basically asking for help, and she refuses, and so he basically kidnaps her and forces her, and the model to go to the island. And basically, it's just this adventure of like they're trying to escape, but also find this treasure. And so you know, I wasn't expecting a whole lot
No.
going into this movie, to be honest. And like I said, it was on Paramount Plus, which I already had anyway. So I was like, why not? I'll give it a shot. But I will say, Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, obviously everyone knows him from Harry Potter, but like he's a great actor for in other things. Like, have you seen him in other movies or no?
I don't think I have, to be honest. I've
So
seen
he's
him
been,
in like extras, the Ricky Gervais show,
hmm
which he was
yeah.
funny in. I don't think I've ever watched him in another movie.
So, okay, two other movies I would recommend are where he's in it is one Guns Akimbo,
I
where
know
he
of it.
basically you've probably seen the image of where he has guns strapped in his hands and he's like in his pajamas and like bear slippers,
Yeah.
like running around, and it's basically like It's just a funny, kind of a funny, weird action movie that he's in. And then another movie is one called Swiss Army Man,
Yes, I have
where
heard of this. Yeah,
he literally the entire movie plays a dead body.
yeah.
I don't think he utters a single word in the whole movie, and it's all just his face and just his body language, and it's
It's with the
so
Riddler, ain't it? Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. Yep. So that's a great movie as well. So yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, he's a great actor. Like I mean, once again, Harry Potter aside, like the other stuff he's done in recent years is actually really good. And then in this movie, honestly, I think he does a great job too. He just plays kind of this millionaire
He
villain.
plays an
Like
arsehole, doesn't he? A smug arsehole.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I just think he had a good time playing it. It seems like he probably enjoyed it. So it was just funny to see him. And then Channing Tatum. I actually I like Channing Tatum as well. I think he's
Yeah.
funny. Like he
He's
seems to
great in
have
the Jump
fun.
Street movies as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think
And
this is a
then
very like middle of the road fun movie. I
yeah.
know I made fun of like the plot and everything, but like
hmm
it was enjoyable. You're not going into it expecting anything overly
Yeah.
hilarious, and
Yeah. Exactly.
I
hmm
enjoyed it. I'm never going to watch it again, but it
hmm
wasn't an evening I regretted having.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those movies that like it's just a fun popcorn kind of movie. Just hang out, relax. Like not everything has to be this crazy franchise
The
or this
Citizen
established
Zane
universe.
Kane of comedy.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm assuming there's not going to be any follow-ups to this movie or prequels or
Oh, they're
spin-offs
gonna
or
no, they're
origin
gonna make
stories.
this a universe.
Oh, clearly,
Yeah,
yeah. I wouldn't be
she's gonna
surprised.
write novels about all different things that people want to find. It's gonna be like Uncharted.
Yeah, this is Paramount's Uncharted.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot else to say other than like if you just kind of want a goofy movie, if you happen to have Paramount Plus already and it's on there,
yeah.
it's worth a watch one time. It's nothing crazy, but it's just
I
fun to
wouldn't
kind of
like
see some
run
stuff.
to the. I think it's still in some theaters. I wouldn't run out to a theater to
Mm,
see it or anything.
right.
If you have Paramount Plus, I personally wouldn't drop like the $5-6 on it.
hmm
But yeah, if you've got it for free, it's an it's an easy watch for anyone. Like if your wife wants to watch it, if your husband wants to watch it, I don't think anyone's going to be
hmm
angry at it afterwards.
Yeah, it's a great review. It is a non-offensive movie.
What I mean by that though is like my wife would be like, "Oh, come on, let's watch some like girly rom com or something." That's not for me, but she's not going to want to watch Fight Club, you know?
But what if you put those together?
Yeah, and you get the
Now
Lost
that's a
City.
movie. Yeah, yeah, it's a great tagline. Fight Club meets rom com.
Yeah,
Perfect. Oh God. Well, good. Exactly. So honestly, I'd give it a thumbs up. Got an escape. So yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up. Honestly, like I said, yeah, if you happen to have it, may as well watch it. I don't think you'll be really disappointed. I had a good time watching it.
yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up. That's all right.
Yeah, why not? Let's be positive. We had one negative and now two
There
positives.
you go.
See, we're doing good here.
Yeah,
So
balance.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, once again, thanks for tuning in, everyone. If you've seen any of the things that we talked about today, let us know in the comments below. Again, give us your fan fiction on Morbius and things where we can go moving forward. We'd love to read it, hear the possibilities of the multiverse clearly. But yeah, subscribe here. Tune in for the next one next week, and then until then, we'll see you on the next one.
See you.
Take it easy.